All of these running backs are cheaper today than they were 6 months ago. And with a few of these names, I get it. Yes, they should be worth less, but others, I would make the argument that their situation has gotten better, yet somehow their price has gotten cheaper, where I just don't understand it at all. I mean, starting with our first guy, Damien Pierce. Yes, you should have sold Damien Pierce high his rookie season. I mean, it was a clear sell high when he was the running back 8 in Dynasty. He was a running back that was a day 3 NFL draft pick, that was in a piss poor offense that had Davis Mills, and you didn't know what the future looked like. Back then, yes, sell Damien Pierce, because the following offseason, we've seen time and time again that those day 3 backs, whether you're Phillip Lindsay, whether you're James Robinson, regardless of who you are, their NFL team is quick to move on from them and upgrade the following offseason, even if they are impressive rookies. Which Damien Pierce, hell, he was a very impressive rookie. There's a reason why he moved up to be the Dynasty running back 8 this past season. I mean, he was the running back 21 from a points per game perspective. He had a market share number of 72% of the Houston Texans carries on a per game basis. He actually averaged 3 targets per game. I mean, in a piss poor Houston Texans offense, the man went out there and had about 85 total yards per game. So as a rookie, Damien Pierce was great. Now, I'm actually proud of our call to sell him during his rookie season, but I'm willing to go with a complete 180 here and say that Damien Pierce may be one of the best dynasty buy lows that you have currently. Because let's look at this Houston Texans situation. One, they dramatically improved the quarterback situation. I don't necessarily know how good CJ Stroud will be in the NFL this next season. I'm going to assume CJ Stroud is much, much better than Davis Mills is, however, both for 2023 as well as beyond. So you have a massive quarterback upgrade coming in with CJ Stroud. Like I said, don't know how good it'll be, but it'll be better than Davis Mills. And on top of this, more important than anything, the Houston Texans show their commitment to Damien Pierce. Because going back to what we were talking about when he was a rookie and we were screaming to sell high, the primary concern that you have is, what happens if they pull a James Robinson and Travis Etienne, where they go through and they take a running back in round 1 this next year? Maybe they take a running back in round 2. I mean, whether they grab Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Charbonnet, Bijan Robinson, it is devastating. Even if they take someone like, I don't know, say Tank Bigsby. It's not great for Damien Pierce's value, right? But they take literally nobody of importance in the NFL draft. And right now, going into this season, their depth chart at running back consists of Damien Pierce as the starter. The second string guy is Devin Singletary. Then you have Mike Boone. Now, I understand a lot of people are going to say, well, Mason, come on, man. They brought in Devin Singletary in free agency. We have to be worried about Devin Singletary. Are you freaking kidding me? You're really worried about Devin Singletary here? No, running back, just like any other position in the NFL. Whether it's linebacker, tackle, say even, a quarterback. You need a backup, right? Especially at the running back position where we know these guys get injured time and time again. So you can't go into the season if you're the Houston Texans with Mike Boone as your second running back. You have to go grab some type of backup. And if you're looking at the Devin Singletary contract, in my mind, it is clear that Devin Singletary is a backup. Devin Singletary is not in threat to steal this job for Damien Pierce. Right now, if you're looking at the guaranteed money for Singletary, it's $1 million. That's backup money. If we go over and look at the player props that you have right now on Underdog Fantasy for Damien Pierce in particular, this is a running back that you can clearly see they are projecting to be the starting running back for the Houston Texans this next season. Now, regardless of if you like this line or not, regardless of if you think you should be going with the more than, less than, I don't even really look at those player props for that reason. I more so look at it and say that these are pretty valid projections for this next year, because if you're following, say, some projections that I put out, right? Now, of course, I have some risk if I get things wrong. I'm going to look like an idiot online, which I hate doing. I'm also going to lose credibility going forward. But Underdog Fantasy has way more risk if they put out a bad line in a bad projection than we do, because you can't go and say, Mason, I'll bet you $100 that you're wrong here. No, you can't do that, but you can with Underdogs. These projections have to be pretty damn good. And they have Damien Pierce at 900 rushing yards. They have Damien Pierce for 100 more rushing yards than Joe Mixon this next season. They have Damien Pierce pretty much neck and neck with Najee Harris with their projection as well. I like buying low on Damien Pierce at this price tag. I think he's a great running back 2 to have in Dynasty. So yeah, I'm sorry if we said to sell him high previously. I think that he is actually an intriguing buy low now. Now going over to our next guy, very similar to Damien Pierce. We called Isaiah Pacheco a sell high during his rookie season. Now, very similar to Damien Pierce, I was worried about the same thing. I was worried about Isaiah Pacheco being replaced the following offseason because what we've historically seen with those running backs that go out there and have success as day 3 options is their NFL teams are quick to move on. Their NFL teams are quick to replace them. That's why we were selling Isaiah Pacheco when he was the running back 18 during his rookie season. We were waiting to see if the Kansas City Chiefs were going to go out there and make a play to upgrade the running back position this offseason, which they did not. I mean, right now, Isaiah Pacheco, Jarrett McKinnon are the only running backs on this Kansas City Chiefs roster. Now, of course, you still have some sharks out there in the water. You still have Ezekiel Elliott. You still have Leonard Fournette. You still have Dalvin Cook. You still have Kareem Hunt. We'll be talking about one of these guys later on. And one of those guys can still find himself ending up in Kansas City. And if that were to occur, then yes, Isaiah Pacheco's value will be crushed. But nonetheless, you are getting him as the running back 28, as the starting RB in this Kansas City Chiefs offense. Based off our historical research, if you can go through and have the starting running back from a top 5 NFL team, you are almost guaranteed to have a top 24 running back in fantasy. And a lot of the time, you actually have an RB1 with that roster as well. The man's in year 2, running back 28 as a mid RB3, all about that price tag. I mean, he didn't finish that high this past season. He was the RB 37. But keep in mind a couple different things with Isaiah Pacheco. One, I mean, he didn't really come on strong until the very end of the year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire still had somewhat of a role this past season, but that Clyde Edwards-Helaire role should just completely go out the window. Like right now, if you're looking at expectations for Pacheco this next season on Underdog, they have Pacheco at 5.5 rushing touchdowns, 815 rushing yards. If you're going over and looking at the ADP for what you have with Isaiah Pacheco, I honestly think he's a decent value on Underdog as well with where he's going. I mean, he is going currently as the running back 24 there. So you're getting him cheaper in Dynasty than you would in redraft, even though he's only a year 2 player. Now, going over to someone that, of course, should be much, much cheaper in Dynasty than he would be in your redraft league. I'm not saying you have to trade for Dalvin Cook, but I think it could be interesting to see what you could have with Dalvin. With Dalvin Cook, he has fallen from about the running back 2 before last season to now the running back 34. Since Dalvin Cook has been cut, he has fallen from being a mid running back 2 in Dynasty to being a low-end RB3, high-end RB4. And everybody should have known that Dalvin Cook was not going to be in Minnesota. That was the most likely outcome. That's why Alexander Mattison at the beginning of the offseason was my most drafted running back on Underdog. Now, going forward to project what you may have with Dalvin Cook here, there's an extremely wide range of outcomes. Dalvin Cook may never be usable again in Dynasty. That is 100% a possibility. If Dalvin Cook finds himself in a crowded backfield, he turns into just a mid running back 3, and you're never really excited to start him this next season. And then obviously he's nothing in 2024. You may have legitimately nothing with Dalvin. But if you could go out there and say, trade a future second for Dalvin Cook and a future third from a rebuilding roster, I think it could be an intriguing price point. Just because if you are looking at the possible landing spots for Dalvin, if he finds himself going over to Miami, if he finds himself going over to Buffalo, if he finds himself going over to Kansas City, going over to Dallas, you will immediately have a sell high window for Dalvin Cook. So from a Dynasty perspective, can't hurt to put out a feeler, see if we can buy him on the super low right now when there's a lot of uncertainty, and then see if we're able to turn around and sell him if he gets a small spike, if he signs somewhere advantageous. But of course, real quick, if you want to actually hop into a fantasy football draft today or check out any of those player props we're talking about in this video, y'all know it's all in the same spot already. Underdog Fantasy, where we are drafting every single day on the live stream on the Flog Fantasy YouTube channel. I won $150,000 on Underdog, drafted 700 teams there last year. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the season. And check it out for free. Sign up with promo code FLOCK with the link in the description or the comment section. They'll get your first deposit match dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get my 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings and a free trial to flogfantasy.com for free with promo code FLOCK. But let's go over to our next guy. Yes, we called him a sell high, just like Pacheco, just like Damien Pierce during this past season. Brian Robinson is a running back that has had his situation dramatically improve, yet somehow he is cheaper. If we are looking at Brian Robinson, this is a running back that has seen zero added competition to this Washington backfield. What you have right now is Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. And Gibson was an intriguing buy low candidate at the beginning of the offseason with the departure of J.D. McKissic. But what you've seen is the overall Dynasty fantasy football community, as well as just best ball community, understand the value that's presented with Antonio Gibson by the departure of J.D. McKissic, while at the same time, just kind of completely ignoring what you have with Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson went from being the running back 21 in Dynasty this past season to now the running back 38. You are getting Brian Robinson as a mid running back 4, or say high-end running back 4 in your Dynasty league. If you're going to look at where he's being drafted right now in redraft formats, Brian Robinson's going as the running back 36. So he's a year 2 player being drafted higher in redraft leagues than Dynasty. Hell, he finishes the running back 37 this past season in Washington. You may actually get some positive touchdown regression incoming for Brian Robinson, who actually only scored a touchdown in 1 out of every 4 games this past year. So if we get a positive touchdown bump plus maybe a slightly expanded role as a pass catcher with no J.D. McKissic, even if the majority of those targets go to Antonio Gibson, still some of them may be in the direction of Brian Robinson. You could be looking at a low-end RB2 for this next year as a second-year running back. And like we said, you're getting him cheaper in Dynasty drafts right now than where he's going in 2023, and the man's a second-year player. Now, going over to our next running back, this is someone that I thought we were going to be fading this next season. I thought people would be looking at Khalil Herbert and ready to go all in with the departure of David Montgomery. And I thought I was going to be smart. I thought I was going to be unique and say, oh, no, guys, trust me. Roschon Johnson has a shot to lead this backfield. Deonte Foreman has a shot to lead this backfield. Hook 'em horns. You know, I mean, I'm not necessarily wanting to sit here and bet against our Longhorn running backs. But it looks like that thought that I had is far from a unique thought. That looks like the baseline scenario of what everybody else is thinking, because Khalil Herbert has fallen from this past year when David Montgomery was still on the roster for the Chicago Bears during the season, where he was the running back 21 in Dynasty, now down to the running back 39. And I do want to stand by what I'm saying in that I think Deonte Foreman could possibly be the starting running back in Chicago. I think Roschon Johnson can possibly be the starting running back in Chicago this next season. If I had to put a probability on who the RB1 was, I would probably go, I'd say 50% shot it's Khalil Herbert, then say 30% shot it's Roschon Johnson, 20% shot it's Deonte Foreman. I think it's kind of up in the air. But nonetheless, I think Khalil Herbert is most likely the starting running back in Chicago this next season. If you're looking at his prop on Underdog right now, they have him at 600.5 rushing yards. If we're looking at Deonte Foreman, they have Deonte Foreman at 460. There's that contingent value if you were to see an injury to Roschon or Deonte Foreman, that the backfield consolidates and Khalil Herbert is that guy leading the way. What I'm kind of looking here with Khalil Herbert is I think you're in a way getting a discount J.K. Dobbins in a running back that's most likely going to be in a committee, that's not really going to see involvement as a pass catcher because his quarterback's not going to check the ball down the backfield, because his quarterback can pick up first downs on his own running the ball when the pocket collapses. But what comes with that rushing quarterback playing alongside you is you are going to have the bumped up efficiency for guys like Dobbins, for someone like Khalil Herbert. So if you're getting him running back 39 right now in Dynasty, I do like that price tag as well. But I think that's all I have for you in this video. Of course, thank you so much for checking out. If you enjoyed it, go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. And if you want to get into a draft today, if you want to go check out any of those player props, always go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, with promo code FLOCK, you'll get my 2023 Dynasty Fantasy Football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, available in damn near every state. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate you. And I hope I get to see you in the live stream on the Flock Fantasy YouTube channel later today.